Staring at a silent phone, feeling that familiar knot tighten in your chest, it's a modern ritual. You've likely internalized the idea that if you are supportive enough, available enough, and kind enough, you will eventually secure her loyalty. You view love as a ledger, where giving your heart obligates her to hold it gently. Yet, look at the reality playing out around you. The relentless pleasers are reliably friend-zoned. The guys willing to drop everything for a moment of her time are the ones she respects the least, while men who are scarce and difficult to pin down command her attention effortlessly. This dynamic isn't an accident. We've been programmed by a culture that manufactured this idealization. The silver screen has spent decades selling us the fiction that women are pure, perfect beings of light who require our unconditional worship. This conditioning started in your earliest years. The fairy tales and animated empires built your expectations from the ground up, placing these idealized figures on a towering pedestal. It is a completely learned behavior, deeply rooted in childhood fantasy. But human biology operates on a completely different set of rules. Nature simply does not reward what begs to be capped. Psychological desire requires friction. It isn't built in the comfort of guaranteed safety. It thrives entirely on tension and uncertainty. When you operate as the transactional nice guy, you broadcast a total lack of self-governance. Running towards someone simply forces them to retreat to maintain distance. You signal low relational value, ensuring your own demotion in her eyes. Niccolò Machiavelli observed a much sharper truth about human behavior. He recognized that people at their core are ungrateful, fickle, and driven almost exclusively by self-interest. These observations have held true for centuries. Power and genuine respect are never handed down as a reward for being virtuous. They are actively claimed by the strategic. You can stop being the passenger in your own relationships. By applying the ruthless efficiency of political strategy to the chaotic world of romance, you move from reacting to the weather to becoming the weather system itself. Embracing this strategic framework is the only way out of the confusion and passive-aggressive silence. It allows you to build unshakable internal boundaries, making it impossible to be manipulated. Let's apply the economic law of scarcity to your time. If you reply instantly and clear your schedule the second she shows interest, you think you're showing devotion. In reality, you are signaling that your time is cheap because you have no personal mission to attend to. Constant availability denies her the most potent drug in the human brain, imagination. When you aren't there, she has to wonder what you're doing and who you're with. Maintaining this distance requires the discipline to prioritize your own growth over the immediate hit of her attention. This dynamic relies on intermittent reinforcement. If a slot machine paid out on every pull, you'd get bored and leave. But random, unpredictable payouts create massive dopamine spikes, forming one of the strongest behavioral addictions known to psychology. Machiavelli advised leaders to be both the terrifying lion and the elusive fox. You have to break the predictable pattern of your own behavior. Be unexpectedly stoic, then intensely passionate. When she cannot predict your reaction, she is forced to study you carefully to understand the boundaries you've set. This calculated distance is not a game played for its own sake. True absence is the byproduct of a man who is busy building an empire, training his body and sharpening his mind. You are choosing your mission over her attention. Most men try to impress by listing their career achievements or gym records. They think they are displaying high value, but they are actually broadcasting insecurity. The strategic approach is to suppress the urge to brag and instead listen with a predatory intensity, asking the exact questions that peel back the layers of her psyche. This is the mirror of narcissism. People care about themselves more than anyone else. By showing her the shadow parts she hides from the world, you reflect her own ego back to her. It creates an addictive sense of being truly seen, a connection built on your ability to observe rather than perform. The strength of this bond depends on your willingness to withdraw that validation once it becomes expected. When you stop looking with that intensity, she will pursue you, trying to reclaim the reflection of herself she saw in your eyes. But you cannot reflect her reality if you are blinding yourself with worship. Placing a woman on a pedestal voluntarily puts you beneath her, and she has no choice but to look down. Real connection requires you to stand at eye level, willing to disagree, tease, and challenge her. By destroying the pedestal, you stop apologizing for existing. You enforce ruthless personal standards and invite her down to reality. You provide the actual structure and genuine respect that a high-value partner intuitively craves. Silence is an authority all its own. Sending paragraph-long texts to clarify your nuances simply leaks your power. In any negotiation, the person who rushes to fill the empty air loses. When she tests your boundaries or provokes a reaction, give her nothing. Let the pause stretch. In that uncomfortable gap, her anxiety loop triggers, and she will inevitably start explaining herself to fill the void. Master the pause before you speak. That tiny gap destroys her autopilot. It projects a confidence that signals you are the one evaluating the environment, rather than reacting to it. This all leads to the one tool that cannot be faked: the genuine, unhesitating willingness to walk away the moment your boundaries are disrespected. If you need her, she owns you. If you can live without her, you own the world. These laws fail the moment you become a slave to your own impulses. You cannot cultivate absence if you fear being alone, and you cannot use silence if you are desperate for her approval. The primary target of Machiavellian strategy is the governance of your own mind. You only keep what you are willing to lose. When you cultivate a life so driven by purpose that losing her is merely an inconvenience, the fear evaporates. You become a black hole of gravity, and others naturally orbit the most grounded element in the room. True influence is the byproduct of internal order. When you kill the transactional nice guy persona and birth the strategist, the world stops being something you beg from. It becomes something you rule from within.